Hello everybody, welcome to the video, and that's right, I'm doing a whole new format here, a whole new revamp on this channel and what's going to be done. It's still going to be about me speaking just because I love to hear myself talk, but obviously the topic is going to change drastically, completely. It's no longer going to be about video games. It's going to be about professional wrestling. As any of you probably know if you've been a member of this channel, which at this point, if you're still hanging around, that's just amazing because of the long patches of just dead things that happen on this channel. I go a year without posting anything. I go months without updates, nothing. But if you know anything about me or this channel, there's a section on here called Wrestling Stories because I talk about my life and times as being a former professional wrestler and also a former MMA fighter, which I am no longer either of those. But I'm still very much involved with the business in other ways, very much on a local level, and that's just fine and dandy. But obviously, I pay attention to what wrestling is going on right now because I still love wrestling. I still have the passion for it. I'm still that 10-year-old kid. I'm still a mark. I'm still a fan. But ever since I was in the business, there was a time period where I couldn't really watch wrestling, and sometimes I still can't because you know too much. You're not just a smart mark when you're watching, oh, that's that kind of bump or that's that move, and you know all the terminology. No, like, I could predict what moves were going to happen in the match. Okay, like anyone could predict the booking. You have a 50-50 chance usually on the booking, right? Two guys are wrestling, one guy's going to win, right? One guy's going to go over. But I was predicting the moves in the match as they were happening, right before they're happening. In fact, I can still very much do it because, one, I can still spot hand signals, call-outs, and I know certain universal spots that all wrestlers know and whatnot. So I can be watching wrestling with some friends, and it's like knowing all the answers to a game show or a quiz trivia TV show because you T-voted or something, and then you watch the rerun with everybody, and you know all the answers, and everyone thinks you're a genius. That's kind of what it is. It's like I know what's going to happen. I know Botchamania recently just did a video of John Cena versus AJ Styles in the last pay-per-view match they had, and that match was ruined for me, but I think a lot of people watching on TV, that match was ruined because so much botches happened, and you're thinking, well, what botches were there? If you didn't know this, you could hear John Cena calling out all the moves that they were going to happen, because if you don't know this, wrestlers call their moves in the ring. When John Cena said, I forget what he said off the top of my head, but it was like duck down, leapfrog, single leg. I heard that and I was like, oh, duck down, leapfrog, single leg, and sure enough, shot him off the ropes, duck down, leap down, single leg, takedown, blah blah blah. It's like, holy shit. And so much so that the camera angle and whatnot had to go back to the wide camera. Kevin Dunn had to edit out the shots of the rest holds and shit. All the things you're supposed to get those facial expressions on people's faces because they're selling, you couldn't see that well on television because they were risking people hearing the move sets, and it was a technical error on Kevin Dunn's part, Kevin Dunn being the director and producer of WWE television. But it's little things like that that just ruin wrestling for me. But at the same time, what ruins wrestling for me more than anything is the smart mark. What is the smart mark? Definition. That's what the smart mark is. And so basically, this series is going to be called Attacking the Marks. And it's all about basically debunking conspiracy theories that wrestling marks have. And today with the internet and with podcasts and shoot interviews and people paying money for shoot interviews and whatnot, more and more people at least going into the wrestling business now, you can go try out at a wrestling promotion, some rinky-dink wrestling promotion, and they're not trying to protect the business. They're not trying to make it look like it's real, and they're not beating you up just to protect the business. So they're going to tell you, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do a bump. I'm going to teach you psychology. They're actually teaching you shit, and then sometimes you meet other wrestlers that have met other wrestlers, and stories get exchanged, and it's a huge, fascinating new part of professional wrestling. It's no longer this fake sport, this fake exhibition. It's no longer sports entertainment. There's the sporting side of it, the athletic side of it, the entertainment side of it, and now there's the smart mark side of it. It's its own little facet. It's its own group of fans. And at the same time, a lot of people claim that smart marks are killing the business, and I don't know if they're killing the business, and I don't think they're as detrimental as people think, But there are some weird, stupid conspiracy theories that go around with smart marks, and whole channels are based on being a smart mark. There's channels on YouTube even. This one is obviously going to turn into one of those channels, but there's channels even on YouTube where it's all based around being smart marks and basically analyzing, critiquing, and making content off of other people's work, off the work of WWE, off the work of Ring of Honor, off the work of New Japan and indie wrestlers. You're taking what they've already done and planned out, and then you're taking your own spin off of it, whether it be positive or negative. The only reason they're in business, the only reason they're able to set up shop is because they're feeding off like leeches to the giant whale of success that is WWE, for example. And there's a lot of things I'm going to critique in this series, in this multi-part series. One of them is fantasy booking. Adam Blampier over at What Culture does all this fantasy booking shit, and it's like, oh, Adam's a genius, he's so cool, and it's like, you can obviously tell he's never actually booked before. I know they just started a wrestling promotion called What Culture Professional Wrestling, WCPW, because you can't say WCW, and I guess he's booking and writing for them, and eventually he'll start to see the challenges of booking. There's more to booking than just storyline. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes besides just being creative and having creativeness. But first part of the series that we're going to really knock out the park here is the whole body myth of Vince McMahon and WWE. What is the body myth? Definition. So the body myth basically is that a lot of people, smart marks, the people who are the internet fans, believe that Vince McMahon doesn't care what they want, and he only pushes people that are muscled up, steroided body people, and that couldn't be further from the fucking truth. And no matter how many times people like Triple H and Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and all these people will come out and say, no, they do not only pick people that are based on their physique, or they obviously have a certain build, a certain bottle. They're big. They're the big body. CM Punk is often bitched, whether it be in a storyline angle or on Colt Cabana's podcast, that, oh, it's just about bodies in WWE, and because I'm not a big guy, I got shunned. And, you could cite how many examples and show them how much evidence to the contrary that being a top guy in the company is not about your body. It's not about big bodies. Are there people in positions because of their big build? Yes. Have there been people booked and made world champions because of that? Yes, of course there has been. But at the same time, there's this huge factor. The fact is, this is professional wrestling. This is a full-on contact sport. So if it's going to be booked as such, you're going to want the people to look the part. If you look at American football players or you look at rugby players, what type of players accelerate in those positions? Okay? What type of players do the fans of those sports want to see? It's professional wrestling. If you look at the Olympics, yes, there's different weight classes. And if you look at boxing, there's different weight classes, and everyone gets their fair share. But you look at movies, you look at entertainment, you look at big, hard-hitting sports, and size matters, Everyone wants to see the big guy. Whether they want to see him get his ass kicked or whatnot, you need to look like you can kick somebody's ass. And this harkens back to the days of professional wrestling being real, or I should say protected, where if you were chosen as a world champion of your territory, you would wrestle, shoot matches with local competitors, and you were expected to win. If you got into a scuffle outside of wrestling, your behavior somehow led you into a place you ought not to be, you better fucking kick that guy's ass for legitimacy. Or else, why would you be a world champion at this real sport if some Joe Blow off the street kicked your ass? You needed to actually be something legitimate, something credible, and size matters when fighting. But basically, I decided I'm going to dispel the big body theory of WWE. How do I do that? By using WWE's website, I was able to formulate a list of all the separate champions that have been made since the Yellowfinger era. Now, what is the Yellowfinger era? Everyone's like, oh, there's the Attitude Era, there's the New Era, there's the PG Era. No, there's only one era in wrestling so long as Vince McMahon is taken over, and that's the Yellowfinger era, a.k.a. back when Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania started by beating the Sheik, and people started merchandising those big yellow foam fingers that said Hulk #1 on them or whatever. That is the yellow finger era. That is the birth of sports entertainment. That is the birth of Vince McMahon. That is the birth of professional wrestling being taken to the highest of highs. And even when it's on its lowest of lows, the World Wrestling Federation Entertainment, whatever you want to call it, has been the dominator ever since. It is the yellow finger era, aka the merchandising era, aka the sponsorship era, aka it went from being a legitimate sports contest to being a spectacle. So all I did was use the WWE Heavyweight Championship since Hulk Hogan was champ, and the brief time that the World Heavyweight Championship was in WWE, I believe sometime from 2002 to 2012, when they had two separate shows, so they needed two separate world titles. Now, obviously, I'm starting from Hulk Hogan because that's the start of the whole big body build era, because Bob Backlund wasn't a big body. The Iron Sheik, well, he was a big body, but he was a legitimate wrestler. He was on the Iranian Olympic team. He was a winner of the Pan Am American Games. Those clubs he swung over his head, that was legit. That's a legit testament of strength. That's like freaky, okay? Bruno Sammartino was a legit strong man, but you know, he wasn't there because of his physique and his build. He was there because of his actual ability to wrestle people and kill them if he needed to. Same with Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund was not a big, muscled-up guy. He did not look like a superhero come to life, because Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino, and maybe even the Sheik, to be honest, probably weren't on as many steroids as Hulk Hogan was. Hulk Hogan was a star of the huge steroid era. Hulk Hogan and even Vince himself and everybody in wrestling at that point was starting to take steroids, and people were like, oh, steroid scandals in WWE, and wrestlers are all about steroids, and they're all pushed to do steroids because it's all about that big body build. Well, let's simply dispel this myth right here and now. Of WWE Heavyweight Championship, separate title holders, not if you count how many reigns there's been, because, you know, John Cena's had it 8 times, and Hogan's had it 6 times, and Punk's had it 3 times, or something like that. But if you count up each individual people that have held that belt at least once, whether it be for 10 seconds or whether it be for 10 years, there's been 41 WWE World Champions, starting with Hogan, all the way up to current day champion Dean Ambrose. Now, of those 41 champions, only 16 of them, so about 1/3 of them, is considered a big body build, you know, stereotypical person that the wrestling smart marks hate. Now you're thinking, no, there's been more than that. Vince pushes way more than... No, there isn't. And we're going to go through them one by one. First one, obviously, Hulk Hogan. Yes, big body build guy, right? Andre the Giant. He held that title for only a few minutes, and then it went into WrestleMania 4, and this is where Savage would win it. But Andre the Giant, yes, he wasn't necessarily built for his physique per se, but he was a giant. So yes, he's a big body. Randy Savage was not a big body. Then the next champion would be Ultimate Warrior. Obviously a big body. Sergeant Slaughter, was he a big body? Yeah, he was a big guy, but he was just fat. He wasn't like Andre the Giant's size. He was just a bigger dude, but he wasn't considered a big body. Undertaker, big body. Ric Flair, no. Bret Hart, no. Yokozuna. Now, I know I just got done saying that Sergeant Slaughter was fat, but Yokozuna was obviously a big body. Yokozuna was enormous. Yokozuna was 500 pounds, so he was billed as a big body, even though if he wasn't Hulk Hogan bodybuilder physique, you know, he was still, you know, he was a big man. Bob Backlund, once again, won the title again. Not a body. Kevin Nash, big body. Shawn Michaels, no. Sid Vicious, big body. Stone Cold Steve Austin, no, not really. Kane, big body. The Rock, yes, The Rock was more of a big body than Stone Cold, because The Rock had way more of a physique than Stone Cold. He's a bigger dude. There was no doubt that The Rock was more jacked up than Stone Cold Steve Austin. In fact, Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though he was in good shape, he still had that common man look. You know, he wasn't ripped like The Rock. The Rock is someone that, you know, less than 1/10 of the world's population looks like. Stone Cold, yeah, there was a chance if you worked out you could look like Stone Cold still. You know, Stone Cold didn't have a freaking 6-pack and like pectoral muscles that are just the freaking envy of every guy in the world, even though they've had cosmetic surgery done to them for other reasons. So yeah, The Rock, yes. Stone Cold, no. Mankind, oh hell no. Triple H, big body. Vince McMahon, he's a big body, but in no way, shape, or form did that play into him getting the title. That was just a storyline angle. Big Show, yes, big body. Kurt Angle, no. If Macho Man Randy Savage is considered not a big body, then Kurt Angle can't be either. Chris Jericho, not a big body. Brock Lesnar, big body. Eddie Guerrero, not a body. JBL, not a body. John Cena, yeah, this is the one everyone looks at as, obviously Vince likes big body people. So, of all the people I've named so far, there's been quite a few big body people, but, it's about half and half right now. But people think automatically, oh, Hulk Hogan and John Cena. There's been a ton of champions in between there that have not had big bodies. Rob Van Dam, not a big body. Edge, not a big body. Randy Orton. Randy Orton's got a good-looking physique, but he's not a body. He's not considered a muscled-up bodybuilder, steroided-up guy, whatever. Jeff Hardy, obviously not a body. Batista, yes, a body. Sheamus, yes, a muscled-up body. The Miz, not a body. CM Punk, the guy who claims that it's only been bodies getting pushed, yet he had the longest title reign of the year 2000s, not a body. Rey Mysterio, obviously, it's quite evident that after he got to WWE, he immediately started using steroids. If you look at Rey Mysterio when he was in WCW and after he got to WWE, you cannot tell me the fact that he put on 75 pounds of muscle or something like that. Yeah, steroids. But still, not a body. He's obviously the world's most famous cruiserweight. Alberto Del Rio has a very good physique, but he's not a body. He's not a Dave Batista. He's not an Ultimate Warrior. Daniel Bryan, obviously not a body. Seth Rollins, the guy's a cruiserweight, not a body. Roman Reigns, yes, definitely a body. Yep, there's your one. So of the last 10 guys I've listed, you have one. And then Dean Ambrose, obviously not a body. So out of the 41 champions, you have 16 separate champions that are considered Vince McMahon body muscle guys, okay? And you have 25 that are not. So that debunks that theory. So now on to the short-lived World Championship Heavyweight title, whatever they want to call it. It's basically the replica of the old WCW NWA Heavyweight title. First ever champion in 2002, it was awarded to Triple H. Once again, a lot of these people have obviously been champions of either or of the WWE Heavyweight Championship, so it's basically going to be a repeat of the same list, even though less people. But of all the winners of the World Heavyweight Championship, there's been 25 separate World Heavyweight Champions in the 10 years that belt was considered a belt. But of the 25 World Heavyweight Champions, 12 are bodies, 13 are not a body. So the ratio is pretty much 50-50, I'll give you that. But it's not the majority. I mean, even though the non-body people have won this contest by one, 13 to 12, it proves the theory. So first ever champion, Triple H, he's a body. Shawn Michaels, not a body. Shawn Michaels he's a cruiserweight. Bill Goldberg, obviously a body, a physique guy. Chris Benoit, not a body. Randy Orton, we discussed this. Good look, but not a body, not a Vince McMahon muscle body. Kurt Angle, I don't think Kurt Angle is considered a body. I really don't. He has a great physique, and he's a great professional athlete, but he's shorter, he's smaller. He's in incredible shape. Once again, a good body, but not a Vince McMahon big body. Rey Mysterio, once again, God no. Booker T, I'm going to say Booker T was not a body. If Alberto Del Rio is not considered a body, and Kurt Angle's not considered a body, and Randy Orton I don't consider a body, that Vince McMahon big body build, I can't say Booker T is that guy either. Undertaker, we discussed, he's a big Vince McMahon body guy, Edge is tall, but he's a freaking beanpole. Edge is not a big body Vince McMahon bodybuilder guy. Great Khali, okay, yep, everyone's got that one. The guy didn't deserve to be a wrestler, let alone a world champion, and obviously the only reason he got it was because of his body, his physique. He's the largest ever champion. So, yeah, definitely a body right there. Vince McMahon, bodybuilder, body guy, Great Khali. Next, CM Punk, not a body. Jericho, not a body. Here comes John Cena. Yep, definitely a body, John Cena. I'm not going to argue with that. Jeff Hardy, not a body. Jack Swagger, not a body. Kane, Yeah, he's a big guy. If Undertaker's a body, he's a body. Dolph Ziggler, not a body. Christian, sure as hell not a body. Mark Henry, world's strongest man. Obviously, he's one of those Vince McMahon, larger-than-life bodies. You know, he may not have the ripped, chiseled physique, but he's a freaking gorilla. He's a body. Big Show, yes, he's a body. Daniel Bryan, fuck no, he's a cruiserweight. Sheamus is a body. Alberto Del Rio, not a body. So there you have it, the 25 world champions, 12 bodies, 13 non-bodies. So hopefully that's simply right there, the simple nuts and bolts evidence to all the smart marks talking out there can just finally shut up about who's the body, who's this or whatever, because there's been more smaller champions or non-muscle-headed champions than there has been. Simple as that, and it's overwhelming. Yes, there has been big muscled up guys that the internet marks don't like. I get it. You know, they have their allegiance to the CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, the Seth Rollins. I get that. But this whole constantly people saying, oh, in WWE, Vince doesn't like you. You'll never be world champion and you'll never get the push unless, you know, you're what Vince thinks a champion should be. Well, you know what? Vince may have that theory, but his list of champions proves otherwise. Now the Universal Championship is coming up, and it's kind of funny because the two guys competing for that will be the first ever Universal Champion. One guy's 190 pounds and one guy's 217 pounds, so they're not bodies. So right there, right off the bat, that championship will not be given to one of Vince McMahon's muscled up body guys. So shut up already, Marks.